Hey, hello! Today I've got a really interesting topic for you and it is order of execution for event functions in Unity. I believe that you should know it because it will save you a lot of time and frustration later on when your game will not work as you expected. Because I had this situation before and I promise you, you will benefit a lot if you get familiar with this. We've got here a life cycle of the script, and first method that you can see is awake method. I like this method to initialize my object. I like to get components there, assign some first values to the variables, just make sure that your object is ready in there. Because later on, if we use some onEnable or start method, we might want to make connections with other objects. So at that point, we want to be sure that the other object is ready to be connected to. So in general, awake and start works pretty much the same. Just awake is being executed at the very beginning. Then we start the loop because awake and start will be called only one time. Then we go to the first loop. We start with the fixed update. In fixed update, we will use some physics. And fixed update is being executed 50 times per second by default. We can change that in the Unity editor, but this is not recommended. Just keep that in mind that this will execute 50 times per second, and let's stick to that. And as you can see in the fixed update, we will manage with some animations, physics, we've got collisions on trigger, on collision, and this kind of stuff. Later, we move to the input events on mouse, and we go to the updates. In the update, we will use some coroutines, we will learn about them later. Then we have plenty of different stuff. Then we've got late update. I just skip some of them because we are not going to use them in long time. That's why there is no point for me to explaining it. I will just focus on the ones that we are going to use, okay? So update and late update are pretty much the same. The only thing is that update is being executed first, and when all updates finishes on the scene, then we will go to the late update. This is very handy when we want, for example, camera movement, when we want camera follow our player. So if we move our player in the update, then our camera should be moved in the late update because we need to know the position of the player first, and then we need to compensate or adjust the position of the camera. Because in Unity, you never know which object will be executed first. For example, we would have movement in the camera and in the player, so we don't know really which script will be executed first, the camera script or the player script. That's why it's a good idea to use update and late update if there is a need for it. Then we have a lot of other events that are being executed in this loop. And as you can see now, the loop is going right and back to this place. So as you can see, this is a loop, and those all events will be executed all over again. And of course, in the end, we've got those events like on application quit, on disable, and on destroy. Those are handy as well. For example, sometimes we want to make some action when enemy is being killed, so we can destroy it from the scene, and we can make some functionality on destroy event. So before it dies, it can, for example, I don't know, switch some dying animation or whatever, so this is quite handy and we will definitely use it at some point. So please take some time to get familiar with those. There are plenty of events that we are not going to use, so don't really bother about them just yet, just to be sure that you are aware of those four at the beginning, then fixed update, then On trigger, on collision, those are important for us as well. On mouse, update, yields. Then we've got late update. Those we can skip for now. And here we've got on application quit, on disable, and on destroy. I think I will create a new diagram of those that we really need, and I will put them in the ebook, because this diagram is really important and I believe that we all should know the order of those events.